Kuwait has confirmed an attack on a disputed island where Chinese engineers are actively constructing a new port facility. This is not a routine border skirmish. The stakes involve the very nature of modern infrastructure and whether neutral economic projects can survive in a theater of war. By the end of this explanation, you will understand why this single incident forces every Gulf state to fundamentally rethink their reliance on Chinese capital, and why the builder is now a de facto combatant in the eyes of regional adversaries. The official narrative from Kuwait describes a targeted strike against a construction site. But to understand the strategic weight of this event, we must look past the immediate damage and examine the underlying architecture of the Gulf. For decades, the region operated on a simple assumption that critical infrastructure, whether a pipeline, a power grid, or a shipping terminal, was a neutral asset. If you built it, you protected it. If you used it, you relied on it. This assumption is now broken. The attack on the Chinese-built port transforms that infrastructure from a neutral economic asset into a high-value strategic target. It signals that physical assets in high-conflict zones can no longer be treated as static data points. They are dynamic variables in a security equation that no longer favors neutrality. Consider the specific dynamics at play. Iran is not simply harassing Kuwait. The available real-time monitoring data indicates a shift in operational tempo. Current metrics track more than 71 military strikes and over 53 asset deployments in the region. This is not random harassment. This is a coordinated campaign designed to physically disrupt specific nodes of Chinese expansion. When you see numbers like these, you are witnessing a transition from proxy warfare to direct infrastructure targeting. The message is clear. The construction of Chinese ports is not just an economic activity. It is a geopolitical signal that Iran has chosen to weaponize against. Quick resource note: I keep a curated set of Amazon search links in the description for books, gear, and tools relevant to this channel's topics. Some are affiliate links, so I may earn a commission at no extra cost to you. Please consider supporting the channel by using those links if you find something useful. This brings us to the core of the strategic dilemma. The timing of the strike on a port under Chinese construction serves as a forced system alert to the Gulf Cooperation Council. It demonstrates that reliance on Chinese capital for critical infrastructure creates a specific vulnerability. When a builder becomes the target, that builder becomes a de facto combatant in the eyes of regional adversaries. The Gulf states are now forced to reevaluate the security architecture of their own Chinese-dependent supply chains. They must ask whether these projects are single points of failure that could be exploited by an enemy seeking to decouple the region from Western influence. Iran's strategy here is calculated and sophisticated. The targeting of a Chinese project occurs while Tehran simultaneously maintains oil shipments to China via the same Strait of Hormuz. This duality is not a contradiction. It is a deliberate strategy of economic decoupling from the West while weaponizing Chinese presence to encircle the Gulf. By attacking the infrastructure, Iran creates a hostage infrastructure scenario. It tells Beijing that if you build here, you are part of the conflict. This forces a strategic realignment where the Gulf states can no longer rely on the builder to provide security. The builder is not a neutral party. The builder is a participant. This creates a profound failure in the assumptions made by data engineers and architects who model these systems. For years, the prevailing logic was that infrastructure could be insulated from politics. You could treat a port as a node in a supply chain, distinct from the political tensions of the region. This incident reveals that physical assets in high-conflict zones cannot be treated as static data points. They require dynamic threat modeling that accounts for the political alignment of the construction partner. If the partner is seen as an extension of a rival power, the asset becomes a target. The neutrality of the concrete and steel is an illusion. The implications for the Gulf states are immediate and severe. They are now facing a choice that did not exist 5 years ago. They must either absorb the cost of securing Chinese projects with their own military resources, effectively privatizing security for foreign contractors, or they must accept that Chinese expansion is a provocation that invites direct military response. This is the forced realignment. The Gulf states can no longer outsource their security concerns to economic partnerships. The infrastructure itself is the battleground. Furthermore, this incident highlights a critical failure in the concept of neutral infrastructure. When a port is built by a Chinese firm and that port is struck by Iranian forces, the Chinese firm is no longer just a contractor. It is a strategic asset in the eyes of the attacker. This changes the risk profile for every future project. Investors and governments must now model the political alignment of the construction partner as a primary variable in their security calculations. The builder is not neutral. The builder is a target. The broader geopolitical landscape is shifting because of this. The Gulf states are realizing that their dependence on Chinese capital for critical infrastructure creates a vulnerability where the builder becomes a de facto combatant. This is not just about one port, it is about the entire supply chain. If the construction of a port invites an attack, then the entire supply chain is compromised. The Gulf states must now consider whether they can continue to rely on Chinese capital for their most critical assets without inviting direct military confrontation. This situation demands immediate strategic realignment for all regional stakeholders. The Gulf states must now decide whether to accept the risk of Chinese infrastructure or to seek alternative partners who do not carry the same geopolitical baggage. The attack on the port is a signal that the old rules of engagement no longer apply. Infrastructure is no longer neutral, it is a weapon. And the Gulf states are now the ones holding the weapon, or at least the ones who must decide who holds it. The incident reveals a critical failure in neutral infrastructure assumptions. Physical assets in high-conflict zones cannot be treated as static data points. They require dynamic threat modeling that accounts for the political alignment of the construction partner. The builder is not neutral. The builder is a target. This is the new reality of the Gulf. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I am a one-person team working hard to make each video better than the last. Subscribe if you found value. It is the best way to show support. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. See you in the next video.